What's going on, guys? My name is BasedOnImpulse and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a little bit of a different style for video for you guys, but I wanted to get this out as quickly as possible because this build is completely insane. I honestly think something in here is not working the way that it should, or something is a little too strong, because the way that this build works it's honestly mind-blowing to me. So after the raid was completed, we got some new void fragments, and we all knew that that was going to happen. And of course, the one that was on everybody's mind was this one right here, Echo of Instability. Defeating targets with grenades grants volatile rounds to your void weapons. We were all pretty interested in this because ever since the volatile flow mod, this volatile rounds idea has been really strong. It's made our void weapons really good, especially things like funnel web. And we were just kind of wondering how that would interact now that it was on an actual subclass instead of having to take up a mod slot. And I'm here to tell you that it's even better than I could have ever imagined. Volatile flow is a terrible mod. And I know, sounds crazy, but let me explain and show you some gameplay, and then I think you'll believe me. So, we're on Voidwalker Warlock, mainly because this is the first place that I try to use this. I haven't tried it on the other subclasses or made builds out for those yet. I'll probably get around to that at some point in the future. If you guys would like a video for the other subclasses on Void, let me know down in the comments below. But for now, we are going to be on the Voidwalker. And as far as your fragments, obviously, this is the most important one right here. Just straight up, Echo of Instability. Defeating targets with grenades grants volatile rounds to your weapons. Basically, your entire build is going to revolve around this, and it's just... It's unbelievable. I don't have words to describe how strong this is, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Let me talk about the rest of the subclass. So for the other fragments, we're going to be running the Echo of Undermining. Your void grenades weaken targets. This is pretty much a staple in every void loadout. It's strong. It makes your grenade stronger. No reason not to run it. Same thing here with Echo of Remnants. It'll make your vortex grenade in this case last longer, and just give you that extra oomph to your grenade. As I said, we are going to be running the vortex grenade, mainly because I find it to be the most consistent grenade in PvE at getting kills. Just overall, I find this to be the best grenade for PvE out of all 7 of the void grenades. That is especially true when we pair it with this aspect right here, Chaos Accelerant. Hold to overcharge your grenade, making it deadlier and more effective. As you can see there for the vortex grenade, it states that it increases the size and linger duration of the vortex. So here we are double dipping on that duration. We've got Chaos Accelerant for duration. We've also got Echo of Remnant. So your vortex grenade is going to be lasting for a very long time, especially if you overcharge it. Definitely worth running this, even though it is only 1 fragment slot. Especially in this build, I don't find Child of the Old Gods to be particularly helpful, and the extra fragment slot really does not make up for that too much. So we're going to be going with Chaos Accelerant here. For the other aspect, obviously we're going to be going with Feed the Void, the only other one left. Defeating a target with a Void ability will activate Devour. And as you can see here, Devour will restore us to full health. Great. Grant us grenade energy. Awesome, because we're going to be really leaning into our grenades here for this build, and also obviously extending our Devour. So this is the subclass. Also really quickly, just to mention, the super doesn't really matter here. If I'm being completely honest. You could honestly use this build and never use your super, because it's really not needed. If you want to, you can use it, sure. Nova Bomb, obviously, Nova Bomb Cataclysm or Vortex, both are going to be great. Nova Warp, not really sure how it interacts with this build because I don't use Nova Warp. If you use Nova Warp, good for you, give it a try, let me know how it works, but personally, I haven't tried it with Nova Warp. I always run Cataclysm just because Cataclysm is the best Nova Bomb. So, that's the subclass. These are the important parts of the subclass, just the TLDR. Vortex Grenade, Feed the Void, Chaos Accelerant, Echo of Instability, Echo of Undermining, and Echo of Remnants. Have those on, and then do the other stuff that we're about to talk about. We're going to first talk about our weapons. And there's really only one thing to this entire build, weapon-wise, that's important. And that would be a Void SMG. Specifically, if we're going to get really specific, a funnel web with Adrenaline Junkie. This is the perfect pairing for this build. Mainly because, as I said, and as we saw in the subclass, we're going to be leaning very heavily into our grenade. And having Adrenaline Junkie, every time we get a grenade kill, we get a ×5 to our funnel web, so we're getting a damage buff there. Very strong, obviously, of course, plus Subsistence, adding in that with the volatile rounds and everything else that we're going to be doing to buff this weapon that I'll talk about in a little bit. it's very, very good for ad clear. Your funnel web is the workhorse of this build, or whatever void primary it is that you choose to use. Gnawing Hunger would also work very well here. I've used it. It's very fun. So, weapon-wise, that's really all that's required. A void primary with Adrenaline Junkie if you can swing it, funnel web being probably the best option here. If you want to double dip into that void, you could also do something down here with Deathbringer, and then you could even put an Osmosis up here. If you really were wanting to go like triple void, you could do that. But as far as what you need, at the bare minimum, a void primary, preferably one with Adrenaline Junkie. Not required, but it is nice to have. Now, moving into the important part, our armor. What are we doing with our armor? So first and foremost, let's talk about our exotic. We've got on Nezarec's Sin, and I have it on the Solar Affinity, mainly because we're going to want to be taking advantage here of Ashes to Assets, super energy on grenade kills. That way you can just constantly be throwing your super, because you really aren't going to need your super too much for this build. It's just constantly having it available is obviously very nice to have. For our combat mod slot, we're going to be running Elemental Ordnance. Defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type. Now, why are we running this if we don't need to take advantage of Volatile Flow? Well, there are some other great Void Elemental Well mods that you can use that are still going to be really beneficial, and now that you don't have to worry about using Volatile Flow because you've got it in your subclass, you can worry about using some other things. So we're going to be using here Well of Tenacity, obviously for our damage resistance, never a bad thing to have, always great to take less damage, and then this plus Devour makes it pretty much impossible to die in lower tier content. I'm not gonna lie, it's very difficult to die. You have to pretty much be trying to. And then, of course, also, we are going to be rocking down here on our bond. We've got Font of Might. Picking up an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type grants a temporary bonus to weapon damage of that same elemental type. So this is going to also be buffing the damage of our funnel web. So think about everything we're going to be doing to buff our funnel web when we get a grenade kill. We're going to get ×5 Adrenaline Junkie. We're going to get volatile rounds. We're going to get Font of Might. All of that is going to be feeding into our funnel web. As I said, the Void primary is going to be your workhorse in this build. Now, as far as the other mods, they are not things that are absolutely required, but they are things that help to make the build flow smoother and just give you a little bit more leeway and just make your experience a little easier with the build. The first of those being Seeking Wells, which is one of the Arc Elemental Well mods. This is going to make it so that your wells will track toward nearby players, including yourself. It'll track to both you and your allies. So if you're running, say, Master Wellspring, whenever you spawn those elemental wells, it'll track to you or your teammates. You don't have to worry about running out into a crowd of enemies to go grab that well. It's not an absolute requirement, no, but it is something that is nice to have, especially if you're going to be using this in higher tier content where running out to go get that well could get you killed and cost your team some reses, or even a wipe, or even a return to orbit. And the final mod that we're going to be running in our combat slot here is going to be a stasis mod, and it's going to be Elemental Time Dilation. It's just going to increase the duration of our elemental well effects, and in that, what that means is that our Well of Tenacity effect is going to last longer, and also our Font of Might effect is going to last longer. So, all of this together, that was a lot of words, a lot of mods, a lot of Devour, a lot of Volatile. What does this build actually do? Let's go take it into a strike show, I can show you. Really quickly, here's a graphic I put together for you guys of the build. This is going to be everything that we just talked about, just in one easy to look at, pretty little graphic. Feel free to pause it and copy it over to your character, or take a screenshot, or whatever it is you need to do. I'll leave it up for a couple more seconds, and then we'll jump into the gameplay. Alright, so here we are in Devil's Lair, and I'm really just going to kind of run and just kill things. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm just going to kind of let you guys see what exactly this does. So here, I'm going to get all my buffs, and we're just going to go to town. And if you really want to see the full... the thing with this that really concerns me... go ahead and just keep an eye on my grenade recharge rate. So, there was just a little taste, but let me just run the actual waves, and I'm just gonna mute, just gonna play, let you guys watch, and you'll see what this build is capable of. So yeah, as you guys can see, the build is the build's a lot of fun. It's a little strong. I honestly think something here might not be working the way that it's supposed to, if I'm being completely honest, but if it is, use this before it gets fixed. Whatever it is in here that might be broken, because I feel like there's got to be something, because this just seems too good. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and leave a sub. I would greatly appreciate that. Go ahead and give the build a try for yourself. Let me know what you think. And if you'd like to see some builds for the other subclasses in the future, for the Hunter and the Titan on the Void, go ahead and let me know in the comments section down below. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see all of you guys in the next video.